Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all of my people out there in internet land. I am William Honolulu Jr., and I have the honor, nay, the privilege of serving as the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show. Yeah. So if you've noticed, I'm in the new studios. I didn't tell you all about this because I wasn't sure when it's going to happen. I'm in the new studios. We got like technology. I can control things from my hand. And I don't know. I like, because I'm older. You see, I earned this gray. And I like the old, because like, wow, I'm at the age where old school is when you just have to click the mouse. I love clicking me an old mouse, you know what I mean? It helps me understand, feel connected to my project, you know. But it's all new here. So again, but you all know we are known for technical glitches. So this supposed to resolve them? I don't think it's going to. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Today is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. Welcome to the 22nd day of Black History Month and World Spay Day. So part of my mental health journey has been watching cat videos. I watch cat videos like most days, like they play in the background, especially the ones with stories. Like where you get to find out like where the cat comes from, you see them in the community and somebody takes them in, and then you see the transformation. And it's like, my therapist says it's okay, so don't be judgy. All that to say, one of the things that I realized is that one of the reasons that we have such an overpopulation of cats and other animals is because people don't take the opportunity to spay or neuter. And I got to be honest, when we had a cat when I was younger, we were part of that problem. We didn't think, it was necessary because we kept the cat in the house. Except when she got in heat and ran through the door. Like I've never seen her move that quick. Like, as I got older, I started to understand the motivation. But separate that's a separate show. But the main thing is that if you have a pet and you do not intend to breed them, please get them spayed or neutered. It is a way to impact the quality of life for all of the animals in our ecosystem because the fewer mouths there are to feed, the fuller the ones that are can be. So that's that. Big ups to Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan for always making sure that we have what we need, have all of the great guests. He is a godsend. And I am so glad that God sent him to me. But you know what we got to do, and I'm trying to make it work because I got technology now. We're going to talk about the sponsors. You know what it is. We're going to start off talking about the edible arrangements. You all know that I love them and that they have incredibly consistent fruit. This is what it looks like when they get it when it gets DoorDash to your house. That's how come you know that your friends love you because they make sure that you have what you need. So make sure that if you want to celebrate something or just want to treat yourself, stop by Edible Arrangements, or you can have it DoorDash to you from the locations in Govins and Randallstown, and also their location in Pittsburgh. Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy have been supporting the Black community and changing the outcome for people for my entire adult life, Judge Murphy in particular. He has fought for Black people from the bench. He has fought for Black communities from the bench and in the courtroom as a lawyer. So if you find yourself on the wrong side of a civil situation or you need somebody to help you and your organization change the trajectory of life in your community, please do not hesitate to give Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy a call. Worst case scenario, they are able to refer you to somebody who can help you, or best case scenario, they can take your case and change your life. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're looking at some criminal cases, you might want to call the warrior lawyer, J. Wendell Gordon. They call him the warrior lawyer not just because it rhymes, but because he fights for his clients. And if you want to find out how much, just Google him. That's one of the great things about being a real person or really having results All you need to do is just say Google him. That's it. And so Google J. Wendell Gordon, tell you how long he's been in the game. Look at that. He still has his AOL address. We are the first. BlackUSA.news is the first uh, Black multimedia company or Black media company to stream in the metaverse. And that is thanks to Dr. Tyrone Taborn and his folks over at STEM City USA. They have done an amazing job of not only creating a metaverse that is focused and designed around Black people and the concepts of Black culture. They have created an organization like they just did I think it's the 37th annual Black Engineer of the Year Awards in the metaverse. So thank you to them, and we are so grateful for all that they have done for us. One of our newest sponsors, the book I Am Black Wall Street by Donny Glover. It is an amazing look at Black Wall Street, not about what happened or how it was rebuilt, but a story about how it was created in the first place. How did people get from the rural South to Tulsa, Oklahoma? What was the motivation? What was the impetus that got them there and got them to build Black Wall Street in the first place? It's a really good read, and it gives you an opportunity to really reflect on how we can use some of those same principles in our lives today to transform our communities. The Grinding Gang is my company, and we love helping our businesses take their opportunities to the next level. A lot of times there's a lot of information, not sure what to do with it one way or the other. We help you get through the noise. We help you focus on what's really important and what is in your strategic interest. And at the same time, making sure that we are achieving your mental, social, emotional goals. Because it doesn't matter doing all the entrepreneurship or building your business to be whatever if you're miserable the whole time. So we try to make sure that you're able to help you find the balance between those things. And last but definitely not least, Darker Than Blue Grill. The food is amazing, and I cannot wait to get. I don't know. Like I said, I'm thinking the hamburger the next time, but I know the salmon, and you all put me on to that cowboy prime rib. So I know those are absolutely good. So who knows what it's going to look like, but I know it won't be disappointing. This is Darker Than Blue Grill. Oh, we have an amazing show for you today. I'm gonna talk to one of my good friends, Shalita O'Neill. But y'all know how it go when I start talking to people. Y'all become less and less important in the conversation. So I'm gonna try to remember that y'all are there, and this isn't just one of our private conversations about how the world is or whatever. But I also gotta let y'all know I did not get a lot of sleep last night. So we'll see what happens. Okay. But Donny Glover's show this morning, the special edition, he had delegate Clarence Tiger Davis Jr. It was, and so let me tell you what happened. They were on. I'm preparing for the show today. Whoops, I'm sorry. This is the. You know what? This is why I can't have technology in my hand. I press buttons. Okay, I press buttons. I touch stuff. That's why I couldn't have the technology. Okay, so I'm gonna put the technology down right now because I'm not using them. And tell you what happened with Delegate Davis. Delegate Davis, I've known Delegate Davis since the 90s when he was a delegate in the Maryland House of Delegates, and I was the reading clerk. And one of the things that has been really consistent in the way he shows up is that it is always focused on the empowerment of the community. He was talking about how when we were there, he would the last Friday in February, he would get on the floor of the House of Delegates and talk about some great Black battalions and military leaders and military troops. And he said a lot of his Black colleagues would be like, okay, yeah, Black military, yeah, Black History Month, we're at the end, okay. He said until he was talking about this one battalion of Blacks who, when the elite forces, the 101, I think it was the 101 Brigade. Yeah, I don't know a lot about the military. It's like asking me about football. I'm going to tell you what I remember him saying. There was this one battalion, they were the elite forces that were supposed to penetrate at the Battle of the Bulge, and they were pinned down and getting rained on. And this group of Black tankers, a group of Black engineers built a bridge so the Black tankers could get across and really break through the line and to defend them. He said one of his colleagues came from the back of the room to the front and said, "Can I hold the microphone?" He said he was crying. And Delegate Davis gave him the microphone, and it was a white guy. He said, I am so glad that somebody has finally honored them. I was in the 101st. I was there and I did not think I was going to make it home. And then I saw these tanks break through the line and I knew they were ours because they were driven by color. So he laughed about that. He, oh, the white guy didn't know. Did we still call you colored or what? And he said, I am grateful for you for telling these kids stories and making sure, no, he didn't say color. He said boy. He said boy, those boys, because we knew they were our boys. Because the Germans weren't sending any black people in. And he said he was saddened and grateful because his colleagues now understood the purpose. But it wasn't until this white guy from Western Maryland came through and validated it that now all of the military stories had a place of honor. And he talked about how the military has actually been one of the places that blacks have made the most gains and the fastest because socialism and the way it's the power dynamic and things like that. It was a great conversation. So you know what I did? I just logged in because Donny showed me where the buttons are, and I have new technology, so I just pressed one of the buttons on the new technology and I showed up. And it was so funny. I don't know how to work the new technology, so I just popped in, like I just showed up into the Donny shot, and I was like, oh, but I couldn't let it go by without having an opportunity just to let a brother who has been doing so much for the Black community know the impact that he has had on me. And it was great. So if you all didn't see the show, good morning, Brandy. If you all didn't see the show, please check it out. Because it was amazing. Like I took notes from their show because I want to do a whole show on like 3 things that he talked about. Yesterday we had an amazing show. We talked to members of the team for the Baltimore Consent Decree monitoring team. And we talked about how the part of the consent decree is the provision of mental health services in the community and for law enforcement personnel. It was a great conversation. We had a lot of interest, and we're going to have a follow-up show tomorrow. But we're going to be talking about community policing, and a lot of those comments and a lot of things that came up then, that we're going to take care of them. We're going to address them there. We're going to find out from the consent monitoring team what they're doing about many of those issues. I'm going to talk to Chuck Ramsey. What is Chuck's last name? Chuck Ramsey. So that's going to be a great conversation. Make sure that you catch that. And you know what? I want to also do. Technology then is here. Technology real quick. I want. What happened to the technology? Technology is not doing something that I want to do. Okay. Oh, because I put it in technology. I want to say a happy birthday to my friend Stacy Price. Stacy and I have been friends since the 90s. We were friends in the last century. Wow. Okay, that's a different thing. But Stacy is celebrating a birthday today. Whoop, 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 whoop. Happy birthday, Stacy. She's an amazing friend and an amazing business consultant, chief experience officer at Aiden Marketing. And she is one of the most talented people that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. So big ups and happy birthday to you, Stacy. Okay, all right. So let's see. Oh, I think I did it. I think I got through all the stuff I'm supposed to say before I can get to the stuff I want to say. So guess what I got? I have my friend Shalita O'Neill. I'm gonna read from the notes because I should. She has an amazing book. She is known as the nonprofitista. She does the damn thing, and she has been supporting not just her business, not just growing her business, but she has found a way to leverage growing her business, addressing her trauma, and empowering the next generation of entrepreneurs who come from places like she does. She's been doing it all. And we're going to talk specifically about her book called Choosing Peace, One Orphan's Guide to Healing from Childhood Trauma. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I introduce and welcome Shalita O'Neill. Hey, man, how you doing? hitting the cameras and stuff. I'm like, okay, because I'm not used to this layout, and I'm excited. So I don't know how this is gonna play itself out.
We're gonna get through it. I love it.
Okay, so first of all, let's start. Tell the people who you are, because I have received feedback and coaching that because I know people, sometimes I just get into talking to them because I want to get to talk what I want to talk about. Because what's the purpose of having my own show if I can't talk about what I want to talk about?
Right.
But I remember that this isn't just about me.
Okay.
Or something. I've heard that. I'm still trying to process it, but apparently it's not. And I at least have to act like it's not. So introduce yourself to people so they can know who you are.
Yes, thanks, William, and thanks for having me on today. Hi, everybody. I'm Shalita O'Neill. I wear a lot of different hats. So I'm a nonprofit coach. I'm a business strategist. I'm a spiritual herbalist in training. I am a mom, a wife. I am an author. I'm a community organizer. Pretty much my goal in life has been to bring people together to create change. So that's me in a nutshell. And early on in my life, trying to find my way to where I am today led me to writing the book that I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about today.
So tell me about that life that led you to the book.
Yeah, so a lot of my work has been built on foster care and child welfare because I grew up in foster care. My mom was killed when I was almost 3 years old, and my father wasn't in the picture. So went to live with my grandmother, bounced back and forward to different family members, who were trying the best that they could, but experienced physical abuse, molestation before I ended up in the foster care system and stayed there until I aged out at 21. So, a lot of those experiences of me trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted to do in the world, I put in the book there.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack. Yes.
So let's open the suitcase and pull something out. Come on, you empty your suitcases. Let's pull something out. Let's talk about the thing you want to talk about. Because again, I have received feedback that sometimes I'm a little driven to talk about what I want to talk about. So you're an experiment. So you got new technology, a new setup, and a whole new me.
Okay.
So Shalita.
Yes.
Pull out something from your suitcase to unpack and share with the audience.
Let's see. So in the book, what I wanted to do differently, because it took me 4 years to really write this book, and then I had to go back and redo it because as I've grown and introspection and all of that and our belief systems have evolved, I had to go back and rewrite some things, from a different perspective.
Okay.
But I didn't want it to be a book just about my experiences in foster care. We have a lot of books out there that are really important, but I wanted it to be information that people can actually digest and apply to their own personal lives in some way, shape, or form. Because, I was in foster care. The next person may not have been in the foster care system, but they can still relate to some of the family dynamics. So for me, okay, what can I pull out? The large, I guess, principles, lessons that have helped me to get to where I am that I'm still unpacking. What can I pull out from that and share with everyone? So some of the main lessons are about trust, trusting other people, trusting myself. I've been happily married it'll be 15 years this year.
Wait, shut up, hubby. We don't just casually mention happiness, okay? Happiness is a big deal here. So if you found yourself some happiness, you might want to go ahead and shout that out, okay?
Yes, my husband Brian, supportive, loving, like we've evolved together. And I mention that because, for someone who has been in the foster care system, I don't know, if the viewers really understand what foster care is and just how young people.
Let's explain it to them, baby. Let's make sure they know.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know, because there is this huge this myth and stigma associated with people and young people in the foster care system, and that has been the majority of my work over the past 20 years, nationally, internationally, is to get people to really understand what foster care is, and not that it's a situation that young people have had no say in coming into because of the conditions in our communities, and yes. Yes.
You say things and I was trying to be not talking and interrupting. I was trying.
Come on with it. Come on with it.
Talk some more about that point, like about that work you're doing and why that's important. Because a lot of times we engage people from their roles and not as a whole human. You are, oh, you're in foster care, so everything I've ever, oh, wait, see, now I got a story. I'm older, so I can tell stories whenever I choose to. So one of the things that I tell people is like, I've never been to England, never. But I know that they drive on the opposite side that I do in America. And if you told me that they didn't, I would argue you up and down, but that's not even information I have. I have no basis in my real life to make that point. But I am comfortable that I would be comfortable arguing with it because I have no people who are there and blah, blah, blah. So because I don't have personal information, I use all of the information from everybody else and every source I've seen to put together a composite of what life actually is. And that is what I have seen happens to people, alumni of the foster care system too often.
Yes.
Because I've never seen somebody in the foster care system, I'm going to pull everything I've ever seen about the foster care system. And when you say you're an alumni of the foster care system, now I've created you driving on the opposite side of the road that I did because you are in foster care.
Yes.
And I really want you to really help them understand that you are more than foster care. People in okay. All right. Okay.
You know what?
Your turn. You know what? I'm gonna take myself off of the feed because I realize this is gonna continue. Okay. All right. Because I feel getting worked up. I feel getting worked up. Go ahead. Help them understand.
So I love how you just, painted that picture for everybody and use that example, because if we look at it, even on the media, the news, whenever you hear anything about somebody's in the foster care system, me and my husband, we have this like running joke thing that happens when we're watching a movie and then the criminal in the story, or the one that's wreaking the most havoc, at some point he's like, when I was in the foster care system, and we're like, no, it never fails.
But you're absolutely right.
And never fails. So I want people to understand that it is a situation that young people, that children come into because of no fault of their own, because of the resources, the lack of resources that their parents have, the situations, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's, poverty, pretty much, that kids come into care, and disproportionately
poverty and mental health, poverty and mental health.
Poverty and mental health, and because and it affects disproportionately the Black community, right? It is that are, and it's targeted, it's designed that way. But for us to really try to shift the perspective, and that all of us as human beings have people in our family who, either we're maybe not be the proudest of, or, we just, that's Uncle somebody, or that's Aunt somebody, or that's
just don't don't send the kids over there. It's okay. Right. Just, make sure you don't send them over there.
Yeah. Don't invite them to, over to your house unwatched. You know what I'm saying? Like we have that, but see, the difference is with young people in foster care, they don't have that anonymity. They don't have the ability to be able to keep that type of stuff to themselves because the business is all out in the street. You as someone who is not in the foster care system, or a young person who's not in the foster care system, they have the ability to keep that information private, right? So then we start going into judging, and when we know certain things about people, and I had to overcome that too internally, because once I got, I was like 30, I said, I'm not a foster youth anymore. Because people wanted to continue to interact with me in such a way, and when I, share my story, people tend to go to the pity side, or the side of, oh my God, and then that switches something off in the brain when it comes to credibility in some way.
Oh no, because you need help.
Right.
I need to help you. Poor little Shalita. You know what? I've seen the movies and stuff, and I know how hard it must have been on you, and how lonely and how mentally scarred you probably are right now. I mean, I won't trust you with anything big because you might be crazy. And I've seen most people like you, if I'm gonna be honest, y'all turn into villains. I'm just saying. But I mean, I know you're probably not one of them. You're probably the sad one that, if you just, Shalita, and if you just know that somebody possibly loves you, you can reach your full potential. Because I'm going to save you, little foster girl. I'm going to save you. It's going to be me.
That part, right? Yes. And so, as I've evolved over the years and speaking and what I share about my story, I've had to keep that in mind because it just seems like it's just a human instinct, we've learned it from different places, but to other people, and want to try to help other people as a projection, I guess, of not doing your own work, right? So that's one thing that I really wanted to change throughout my work is the stigma, to show that, yeah, we go through things just like anybody, everybody. If you live in today, you done been through some things, but at the same time, we can still contribute to the community. We are still doing really wonderful things.
No. I'm sorry. I got to stop you there. Stop you there. We're not going to say that alumni of the foster care system or members, individuals who are currently in the foster care system can contribute to the community, because that's not a true statement. They are members of the community. That's like saying you're going to babysit your kids. You can't babysit your kids. They're your kids.
Right. Yes.
You know, yes. But I think also, and the reason I'm really careful about that language is the things that you said before. If we can, people pick up on little pieces of language like that, and unfortunately it just reinforces their belief system. Or like they can be contributing members of society. That sentence suggests that they're not members of the society now. And I know you. I know that's not what you meant, but I need to make sure, because I don't want nobody to take a clip of this and then be running with it and be like, "Oh, that's what she said." And I'm like, "No, you will not disrespect my friend after she was on my show." And then
they're not gonna talk to me unless I send for them. But look, you're right. You're right about that, and language is extremely important. And thank you for that. And I guess I operate too from a space of using the language that a lot of people are familiar with, so that then we can shift that. Because even when you talk about legislation, when you talk about policies and things that get passed, what are people saying in Annapolis? What are people saying? Okay, well, contributing members of society, or remember, like, this is the language that people. And so, I want people to understand, yes, that we are already part of society. And if anything, especially young people who have been removed from their homes against their will, and in a lot of times they're returned back home to the same lack of resources, without even being more traumatized from the experience they have in foster care. If anything, the society does owe them something, right? The society needs to help them to be able to heal and to recover from that experience. So yeah, you're right, William. We need to shift our language, our perspective, and that's what my work has been. Even in Baltimore City, because I'm from Baltimore. Okay, proud of that. And that's where we started a lot of the conversations. Because my initial nonprofit that I started years ago, right out of foster care, was for that purpose, to help young people when they leave, because we know when they leave, the resources, they don't have any resources, the connection to family is damaged. And so we did that work, but all of us were people from the foster care system, or we call ourselves alumni of the foster care system, and to show people a different perspective, that yes, we we advocate, we're out here, there's a different side to what you think, and because of that, now different requests for proposals that come out about foster care, they're specifically saying foster care, when before that wasn't even a part of the conversation. So I'm pretty proud that my role with that over the years.
So I understand what you're doing, and you are absolutely doing exactly the way it should be. You are socializing the vocabulary, co-opting its meaning, and then transitioning it into something more positive and tactically supportive of your movement. That's not my move.
I know that ain't true.
I make people uncomfortable, and I'm like, stop it now. Stop it now.
That's why we need
You doing the right thing. I ain't even not, because we need the whole thing. Because there are people who won't watch my show because I yell a lot or I curse. I do like to mention we are almost halfway through.
Really good.
No curse words. And I'm worked up. So I just want that I think is, as much as y'all be noting when I do curse, y'all need to meet me 30 minutes. Okay? At least I don't think I did. I'm gonna go back through the clips and make sure, but I don't think I did. So nah. So, but again, there are people who this format, what we talk about, doesn't make them comfortable. And you are right. Their vocabulary needs to be advanced. And for some people, it needs to be advanced in a way that they can tolerate, they can digest, they can take the whole thing in, but they need to do it slower. Yeah, I'm older now. I don't have a lot of slower time. Yeah, it's like I literally have less time ahead of me than I do behind me. So I'm like, ooh, I gotta let the last part of this ride. Like, let it go. I ain't got time to talk to y'all about the stuff y'all want to talk about because I ain't got time, literally. I'm thinking I probably got a good 15-ish years left. So we'll see what happens. Okay. But again, what you are doing is necessary. And not just in kind of the larger ethereal, but from a practical perspective. Tell people a little bit. I know we're gonna talk about. I swear we're gonna talk about your book so people can go and buy it and be informed and really get a different sense on what healing looks like, and not just So we're absolutely going to do that. But you one of the things that I was really impressed with as I've seen your career grow is how you have been able to innovate and transform along with the changing business ecosystem, social ecosystem, political ecosystem. It is this constant evolution. And I know that ain't easy. No. Hell, it's not even easy to find out what's happening on the horizon so you can make those transitions. What is it that motivates you and drives you to kind of stay on the cutting edge of what's happening in nonprofit, especially when it comes to dealing with alumni of the foster care system?
Good question. For me, I think, and going back to some of the things that I listed in the book too, being in foster care and even before that, bouncing back and forth between different family members, there's a level of flexibility that you need to have. You need to, in order to survive, you need to be sort of, looking at what's possibly going to happen next. What do I need to do to be? How do I need to shift? And so taking that into the work that I do, it's sort of a natural transition because I've always had to do that. And especially like for me, it's not necessarily about survival, or maybe it could be, because I want to be more, and I have been more intentional about specifically helping Black leaders of grassroots organizations to build their vision that ultimately will rebuild, heal, and restore the community. To me, that is of the utmost importance. And there's different layers to that. It looks different for different people. And to me, that is about survival, right? It's about survival as a collective. And once I got clear on that and started to look at, well, what do I bring to the table? What do I want to use from what I've learned, from the lessons that I've learned, the lessons I'm learning, to help move that forward? And that's sort of how I've been able to, coupled with, it's a gift that I'm thankful that the Creator gave me, that I can bring people together, even from opposing sides, to create change. I can communicate with people in different ways. And again, that's part of survival growing up, being able to do that so that you can live, right? But I've turned it into something different because I can really see into what people really want to accomplish. And I believe that ultimately we have very similar goals of, in life when it comes to being together, when it comes to getting the things that we need, right, and when it comes to the, what we love, right? So I can use different language. Like you were telling me, you said, nope, that ain't the language, right? Use this different language. And I get that. And he's like, I want to put it out there.
Oh, wait, do I sound like that?
I'm gonna make you uncomfortable, which is fine, right? But there's also a way to sort of move through different spaces to be able to get the information, right? And to be able to do something with it and sort of finesse, but at the same time be hold people accountable, to what needs to happen. So that's how,
I absolutely agree. And one of the things that I think the way I met you, the way I met you is through Erica Myers, who is the CEO and founder of Fosterpreneur. I think we had seen each other and stuff in passing before that.
Yeah, we did.
But when we really started, but when we really started collaborating on things, and you are absolutely everything you say you are. You do invest a lot of your own time and own resources in trying to help people identify, well, I call it the practical genius. What is the thing that you do, the thing that makes you special? Not what makes other people special, what makes you special that you bring to the table. And it doesn't need to be everything, because you ain't gonna find everything. But figuring out what it is, and it doesn't even need to be as good as other people's. And a lot of times when, especially people who come from disinvested situations like abuse, poverty, foster care, they romanticize the idea of what success looks like. We think that, oh, once we have this, then everything will look good, because those people look like they're enjoying a life that we want. But what we don't realize a lot of times is what happens along the way that gets them there. And a lot of them, one of the things you said was so poignant, was that people in foster care, people in social services, people with judicial engagement, law enforcement engagement, the only difference is people know about your stuff. We get to get. That was profound, because I have seen a number of people in real life, and I might not call no names. Right? Depends on how I'm feeling before I finish this call. But I've seen people who are paragons of virtue and incredible condemnation of others on the back end, like, yo, calling me to help them clean up a mess that they've made. And I'll put myself in the situation, because I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm working on an education grant for a client. And one of the things that I remember, because we're talking about standardized testing, when my oldest son was graduating from high school, I had him take the SAT like 4 or 5 times. Because I'm like, dude, I know you could break 1,500. He was stuck at like 440. Now, why I'm saying stuck at 4? Oh, no. Yeah, I think it was either like 13, high 13s or low 1400s. And but like, I'm like, you're stuck there. You need to get higher, especially if you want to go to the colleges you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And I'm pressing him, and I'm stressing him and me. And my friend goes like, by the way, what was your SAT score? Nobody invested in me like we invested in him. And so that's not even this. But I had to, I got called a BS. See, I called myself that time too. You thought I was going to curse. You thought I was, but I didn't. I called myself BS because I was like, dang, that is a fact. Because we see his grades. I mean, we see his SAT score. He couldn't see mine.
Right.
And to your point, I was able to act from a position of authority and judgment that I clearly did not earn. Honestly, I would have given one, probably one or half or a whole testicle to get his SAT score when I was in high school. Especially because back then I didn't know I'd be losing my testicles like that. So I'd have been, oh yeah, you got it.
Lord have mercy.
Oh, that's probably so. Okay, you all can't have it all. So if I'm not going to curse, I am going to use anatomically correct metaphors. So I'm just letting you know, you can't have it all. So, but that point, and married with this idea that you and Erica come to the table with, that the skill sets that you are forced to mature while you're in foster care and in some of these situations, those are actually the same skill sets that propel entrepreneurship. Because as an entrepreneur, you have control of nothing. And for a lot of us who've had that fake empowerment, that fake control, I say we get empowered to our own impotence. Where it's like, it's kind of like we you should do this, you should go to school, get a bunch of degrees, and you'll be able to make all the money. And you are empowered, but you are financially impotent. Or because of student loan debt or blah, blah, blah. And in these circumstances, Not only are you able to, do you have the adaptability, the flexibility, the problem solving skills, the ability to people please as a survival skill.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the ability to manage, navigate, acquire, and distribute resources.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the COO, the CFO, production and customer service by definition.
Yeah.
And all of those skills have been honed to a razor sharp level, because what a lot of people don't get is how you need to show up to get the resources you want depends on who you're talking to. Or the one social worker may be, oh my gosh, we need to get you everything. I love you so much. You're so. And another one could be like, that's probably the problem, y'all weak. We need to be tough on y'all. And you have no control about which one shows up, but you need to be ready to handle either one. And it matures a set of skills. It hones a set of skills that many other people who come from more typical or safer environments will talk.
Yep, real talk.
But let me also, because I need to make sure that I'm clear about this. Please do not take, you and the rest of the audience, this is really made more for them, because please do not take anything that I'm saying that we honor the struggle. We do not honor the struggle. We honor the struggler. The circumstance that forced the maturity in these skill sets, those suck and should be done away with. Honestly, nobody should need these damn skill sets. But what I am saying is that we honor the fact that people who have been through these traumas and these tragedies and these circumstances have found a way. They were strong enough to be what was necessary. It wasn't that the situation made them stronger. And I make sure that we don't honor abuse here.
No.
We don't honor the what didn't kill you made you stronger. Because that is some stupid shit. God damn it.
You almost, you didn't put the T on it. You good. You did. You still did.
Yeah. It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. But honestly, this is what I'm willing to eat. I'm willing to eat this one because it needs to be said. Like, and honestly, if you start saying stuff like, oh, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, to me, then you have lost so much credibility off the break, because that means that you do not appreciate the thing that is human. You are so caught in the simplistic answers so that you can make yourself feel okay about what that person went through. I should not be okay with your story. Your story should make me uncomfortable. And if somebody is listening and just like, but we use pity to offset that discomfort, because it gives us a way not just to soothe you, more about soothing us. And you know what? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Okay.
But no, listen, when we do this exchange, it's like,
I know, but I keep forgetting this is not our conversation. Yeah, that's the thing. This is the conversation we will have.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I think, and I'm like, this is not the Zoom. This is not the Google Meet. This is the show. I work here. Yeah. And I've gotten feedback that sometimes I interrupt and I just have a rant to do. And I'm like, well, it's my show, right? And they're like, well, yeah, but other people have to watch it. I was like, no, they don't. They don't.
My show. No, I mean, you're
okay, but we are here for the book, so this is yours.
No, I mean, for all of those reasons, right? Like that, the work has been to help people to think differently so that we can dismantle this way of thinking about struggle. And, for me, as you were talking, it just made me think of a lot of things in foster care, or the situations of young people in the foster care system mirrors, or there's some similarity between what our ancestors went through in the country, like the treatment, right?
Similarities.
Yeah.
It's a playbook. It's not just similar, it's a playbook.
Right. And that's pages that have been taken out of a playbook that have been applied to child welfare, right? Or to families and disproportionately families of color. Like, I want the viewers to really understand that disproportionately Black children are represented in foster care way more than their percentage in the population. So if you're getting angry about that, or if you're like, well, what, wow, I didn't know that. Well, how can you help with that? We have this stigma associated with young people that, they're going to burn your house down, they're going to kill your cats. Like, when people talk about stuff, they tend to talk about the negative side of things, right?
Right.
But and not to say that those things don't happen, right? But I'm saying regular kids,
right.
Right. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that we all play a role in pouring into the next generation, and we've gotten so disconnected.
Absolutely.
You know, even when we're talking about between our elders and the younger generation. That's why with the Visionaries of Color Summit that you have come and you have shared your knowledge, you know, with us with, it's so important for us
absolutely.
to have that dynamic, because, you know, as people of color and indigenous people, like that was how the oral tradition, right? Things were passed down in that way. That is how we built community. That is how we knew how to avoid mistakes. That is how we learned from our elders. And there's this disconnect, right, between that nowadays, like a huge gate.
But because capitalism. Because the reality is that the Europeans who created, and it's my reality, story in my head. Let me not say the reality. The story in my head, backed by evidence and fact. By the way,
right, okay.
Wow, I don't come just with it. Okay, it's not fantastical. But when you have a plot of land that grows a potato and there is no food for miles around you, that you need to claim that and own that. In other places in the world, that wasn't the experience. So it was, you never had to really go to, you wanted your turf because you wanted it. But because you didn't have the ability to develop relationships because of the commoditization of resources, then that's all it became. You needed to have, that's all cash is a way to equalize a trade or these economic systems. And what you're talking about is that we never had economic systems for real. We had social systems that had economic components. And flipping that on its head in this European centric environment is where we put the asset over the individual.
Yes.
You know, we didn't, when it came time before, if I made wheat and you were a baker, well, I gave you, it depends on how cool we were. Because I also know that how much wheat I give you. You know what I mean? Because I know that you had like a little extra butt part on the bread whenever you bake it for me. And you hooked me up. So I know that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I also know that because of the nature of our relationship, you watch the bread that you bake for me a lot more. You like, oh no, that's Hunter Blue's bread. All right, make sure you set your watch to pull it out when it's supposed to be pulled out. Whereas, you know, Thomas, who you know, his son has disrespected your daughter. Oh, Thomas get real thin bread. Thomas don't get no extra butt bread.
Oh, no extra bread.
But if everybody pays $5 for bread, Thomas and I get the same thing because our relationship doesn't matter in the transaction anymore. This cash allows us not to have relationships. The commoditization of our resources separates us. So I don't need to know who you are. You don't need to know who I am. As long as my cash clears.
And that's the bad.
As long as my card goes through. I mean, think about when you do business with people now, you have no idea who they are. Hell, you might not even know they're real people or bots anymore.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
We have gotten so far away from relationship. And one of the things that you talk about in your book is about how you move through tragedy and move through circumstances and obstacles to get to the point where you are healing so that you can have meaningful relationships. Did you see how I segued all the way back? I was like,
you did that. Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about the book.
That was seamless because you're right. But a lot of us really need to understand, because we like to externalize things and say, oh, well, that's not me. That's my situation. Or that's this person. Or that's that person, right? Like we tend to do that a lot because it takes the responsibility off of us. And I was doing that a lot. I was seeing the same type of people, same type of situations. And my initial response was, oh, it's them. What's wrong with them? Like, why can't they, you know, get with the program? Why can't? Until I decided to be intentional about doing my own healing work and see where my shadow, which means the other part of me that we suppress, that we, you know, we say we don't want other people to see, but it's still very much there. When I made the determination that I'm going to sit with that and see what those things and unpack, what am I carrying with me? And what is its role in keeping me from getting to where I actually want to get to? And that is not a pretty place to be. And most of us are most of us situations happen where we feel like we have no control over hitting rock bottom. where we're like,
Yep.
okay, now either I'm going to do something about this or I'm going to stay here, and nobody wants to stay there, right? So that was my place of what are my circumstances trying to tell me, and what do I need to do about it? And that's where relationships with people came in. Communication came in. My lack of communication, this independent woman thing that I had going on, because that was how I survived. And if you're going to be meeting my husband, it's like, okay, if you want to bring another person into your life, you can bring all that type of stuff with you. Now there's some stuff you're going to bring with you. You're going to unpack. Everybody got their own stuff. We've unpacked our stuff together, right? But for me to really connect with him and my child in a way that I say that I wanted to create for myself, I needed to look at how am I showing up, and what changes do I need to make in order to shift that. And
so
that. No, go ahead.
So one of the things that you talked about is how you manage your support network, and how you started to engage with people differently after you had done some introspection of your own. And we've talked about several times how important it is to have that network around you. Even if you don't use them often, just knowing that somebody got your back out there can transform. Yes. How did you, from the way that your story has evolved, it sounds like a lot of your life was just coping and response. Even the independence is a coping mechanism. Yes. It is, I can't trust the mother.
You good? You did good.
I can't trust nobody around me. I can't trust nobody around me, so I can only rely on me. And my experience and what I've read was that the way that people get beyond that is the exposure to other people. It is having experiences that offset the ones that you had before. Yes. But there's a place that many people who are trying to do the healing journey find themselves, where you realize all the people you had before were part of the problem. And now you're looking for new people, but guess what? You only have toxic skills. You only have, I only know that when you disappoint me, Shalita, that's all you've ever known. And you don't like that, but that's all you know. So you try to go out and meet new people. They're talking about stuff you've never heard about. You go out, try to meet new people, and they're like, I remember the first time I went out and somebody offered me some brioche bread. No, actually, they didn't offer it. It was on the menu, and it was like, "Its sandwich comes on brioche, broccoli." Now I love brioche bread, like especially the brioche hot dog rolls with the slit in the middle. Oh my God, it's so wonderful. But I did not have that experience. So even trying to show up in places, it was all types of awkward, and I didn't know how to find people. If it wasn't for my ex-wife's friends who were like, "Hey, you should join this organization," I'm like, "Okay." I may never have gotten into a network because I didn't have. At least I didn't think I had.
Right.
Where to find people. So so that's a long question to go. Like, how do you go from a circumstance that would suggest that those types of resources and supports may not be readily available, to where you are now, that not only have you found your own, you have become the support for others? How does that happen?
Well, it goes back to survival, mechanisms or defense mechanisms that I have had to create even prior to foster care, but especially in foster care. Anyone that has been in the foster care system understands the importance of building your own family. Like, you don't have any, you don't have any say over the family that you were born into. And you begin as you get older, and I'm speaking for myself, as I get older and I doing my own, internal work, I start to have a little bit more empathy for the people who are responsible for raising me, right? So there's a whole nother different about them. One thing turned from anger to like, wow, they did the best they could with what they had. And, that takes some time to get there. But I've had to, when you're moving from foster home to foster home, or group home to group home, and you got to change families, you got to change friends, you got to change schools, you sort of adapt to changing, you see all kinds of different types of people. You learn mistakes on how to interact. That didn't work that last time. Okay, this new place I'm at, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. So that sort of experience helps you to be able to identify the types of people that, or one, for you to be clear on See, I didn't know what a healthy marriage looked like or a healthy relationship looked like because I never saw one, but I knew what it was feel like. Like I know how I did it. Right. So we all have an internal compass that if you just take a step back and tap into that and get clear on what do I want to create for myself, what are some things that I could be doing for myself to make that more of a possibility for me. But then to understand that there are people out here in the world that are going through very similar things. Like when you talk about emotions and people that may not have been in foster care, but they feel awkward too. You know, they're like, oh, well, how am I going to find people? Once you are your authentic self and you're clear about what your triggers are and what you want, and you step out there into the world and lead with that, you will match vibrations with people, right? When we start talking about the vibration, you will vibrate at a frequency that will attract the type of people who you need to have in your life, or that you need to have in your circle, right? And that's a whole other conversation, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I looked at the time, I was like, we're not going to go deep in that. But just to put a point on it, the other part about when you start defining who you are and what you want, that also means there's a period of time where that will be exceptionally lonely, because you realize that it's kind of like the life detox. All of the nasty stuff you used to eat, all of the negative vibrations you used to digest on a regular basis, let's be honest, those feel good. They feel like cupcakes. Because that's why, you know, people, my doctor, because I'm a diabetic, and my doctor's like, you know, you should eat better. And I'm like, yeah, but you have pills though, because cupcakes taste like cupcakes and they make me feel good.
Right.
Yeah, but they make me feel good. You know what I mean? And that's what people don't deal with. I'm like, okay, you want me to stop eating the cakes, cookies, and pies? They have created high fructose corn syrup to make me feel good, and it works. It does a good job. So what you got? What does your celery have, or your carrots, or your apples that can really replace you? They're reading me drugs, and you want no eat an apple. They spend billions of dollars concocting this formula to get me addicted, and my willpower is supposed to stop playing. But this also comes.
Like for you, that is a very real thing. But at the same time, we have to be willing, right, to look at.
You about to do another show? I know where we're going because we had this conversation. Right? You about to do another show?
Instant gratification. You got to delay that instant gratification, because once you do the work
that you
need to do, I mean, you don't have to. But if your soul and your spirit is calling out for change, and you're like, I wanna, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about other people.
Oh, you're talking about the people. I'm sorry.
Right? If your soul, not William, because we know where he at, right? If your soul is calling out for change, and of course, there's some things like you're right. You're going to detox some things. You're going to be in a situation where you question yourself, like, why in the world am I even doing this? That's part of the detox. Once you get through that and you start to add things into your life that you want, right, you'll start to experience a different type of pleasure, a different type of euphoria that you didn't even know was possible, that whatever you were coming from could have not possibly given you. But you can't experience that until you go through the process and stick with it.
And I'm going to apply that specifically in my case to the social emotional piece, but and not to the food piece, because there is a slice of cake that my mama made downstairs that you will not stop me. Okay, you will not stop me. She is going to love me to death, and we're going to enjoy it together. Tell them where they can buy the book, and y'all better go and support this woman. Go ahead.
Right, Choosing Peace: One Orphan's Guide to Healing from Childhood Trauma. You can go to ShalitaO'Neal.com and get your copy. And I know you're gonna put that up on the screen, Shalita.
I'm gonna try to, but we got new technology. I don't know where the buttons are, and that's what for that. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna come back in the chat later on both Facebook and YouTube and put it there. There you go. So if you watch it, it's just if you're watching this, just go to the chat and.
ShalitaO'Neal.com to get your copy. And I like to put a little, you can also go on Amazon, but if you want a little note from me, definitely go on my website and get it.
So you and I need to have a separate conversation, because I miss talking to you. Like, I honestly, scheduling the show has been wonderful for me, because I'm like, oh, I gotta get to talk to you again. It's a wonderful thing.
You got it. Ain't nothing but a word. Thank you for having me on and inviting me. I hope I shared something that the viewers can take with them and really apply to them.
Share stuff to take with me, and honestly, this is my show, so it's okay.
All right, love it. Thanks, Lord.
Thank you very much, Miss Shalita O'Neal. And make sure you all go out and cop the book. And go like her on social media too, and like all of her stuff. Follow her. She puts
The
really good
nonprofitista
content out in the world.
IG, nonprofitista. Come on over there. Check me out.
All right. Okay. Have a great one, hon.
See y'all.
I'll talk to you soon. Woo! Again, we did it. Again, we did it. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about community policing with the Baltimore City Consent Decree Task Force. Make sure that you all hit up Shalita. Check her out on Facebook, Instagram. She is everywhere. ShalitaO'Neal.com and the nonprofitista. Yeah, I had a great time again, and I am grateful for you guys sticking with me with all my shenaniganizing and stuff like that. And as we work through the new technology, I think it went pretty well today. What do you guys think? I'm looking forward to the comments about it. Even if they're negative, you might get cussed out, but it's okay. I'll cuss you out in love. You all have a great day. We'll talk about community policing, and we'll be Black tomorrow.